back. I haven't been here since late January, as you all know, and it's time for me to start increasing the expectations of you, the work of you, the skills of you, and assessing them. And so this is our first our first skills lesson in a very useful thing called annotation. I know that you've been told to annotate before, but I suspect that half of you, or some percentage of you significant, consider it not a skill worth actually thinking about, but a skill worth taking seriously, because it is. So my goal in the next 3-4 minutes is to simply, A, demonstrate how that skill is useful to a real person who is trying to be a better person, a better reader about things they want to read, so that they become better because annotating helps them read better. Lower your screens, you don't need them. I will tell you, I hope a lot of you put in your ideal self, how do I look when somebody is addressing me? How do I look? Do I look like I'm ignoring them? Do I look like I think they're funny for trying to teach me? Do I look like I'm just grumpy and wish I was anywhere but here? Or do I look like somebody who's actually cool and actually awake, energetic, interested, respectful, and actually going, you know what, I'm at a $30,000 a year school, and I'm actually going to make my parents or their company's investment in this place worth it by actually being a human being who's not a rebellious teen, but somebody who's got their head together. How do I look when my teacher looks at me, right? Because I wish I had a camera to just pan across the faces. It's so interesting. It's so interesting. And you're going to go into college, and your professors are going to see that same look on your face, and they're just going to be like, that one, right? Yeah, that's the one who always sits there with that look, right? Or that's one that always sits there with that look, or that look. And I forgot to praise you, Walter, because you are probably the most sincerely religious student I know. You take your faith seriously. And I respect that about you. And I respect the fact that you can actually, your comportment, your behavior, your attitude about all of this has been strong. It has been critical, but it has been open. And I respect that about you so much. You are the person, I wish every single person who was as strong in faith as you are was as open and constructive and just I wish I could bottle you and sell you, because I'd be a millionaire. Huh? I'm sorry? And it's clear. And so you're the kind of person with whom a person can have wonderful conversations because you don't have to cut through the closed doors, right? So you're living proof that defensiveness is not a necessary stance when other spiritual pathways are discussed, because they might offer something that doesn't make me go, oh, mine's bad, but oh, that's something that actually I can embrace, in addition to, not either or. And I tried to edit that voice memo because afterwards I hit done, and then I was like, oh, I should have closed with Walter is my perfect example, and I tried to add that, but I couldn't, so I'm doing it now. Anyway, so back to annotation though. And Taka, you've already been through this. This is Shunta. You're seeing it on the screen. This is Shunta, the third great Confucian philosopher. He's my favorite in terms of intellectual stimulation, because he makes arguments and he defends Confucianism against its critics and its attackers, the Taoists, the legalists, all sorts of others, the Moists, the logicians. And this is his Human Nature is Evil text, which I read not for homework, but because I'm a man who has a really good, hungry mind and knows how to enjoy it as the erotic organ that it is. Too many men only know how to enjoy the lower head as the erotic organ. The upper head is an erotic organ too. This brain is a source of such pleasure. I know. This brain is such a source of pleasure. I'm asking myself about the Confucian thing. If you read my own thing, by the way, I'm doing this Confucian project with you. I want to self-cultivate too. Confucius set his heart on learning at 15, and he didn't stop until he was 70. And he didn't even stop then, I'll guarantee you, because he just realized this is so wonderful to just like try to be better every day, because being good is the best thing in the world, right? Getting good at it, being a virtuoso, being good. So I'll be doing it with you too. And one of the things that I agonized about in my own response was, do I have to, language, ideal speech, do I have to stop like making jokes like that? Oh, I don't want to. Do I have to stop saying damn and ass? Oh, I don't want to, because I kind of find that fun, right? Depending on the context. So back to erotic organs, the brain. And I'm quoting actually a French deconstructionist, post-structuralist, Freudian philosopher, Jacques Lacan. I think you studied Lacan, have you not, back in Chicago? Lacan semiotics, but in any case, he talks about the erotics of text, how reading is actually an erotic experience. It is every bit as romantic and stimulating as the lower forms of eroticism, right? So I'm really riffing off of Lacan, L-A-C-A-N, so are you interested? I find him kind of tedious, like most French philosophers past 1960. My point on annotation, you are assigned annotation from this point. So when I say annotate, this is what I mean. I'm setting a standard. I will occasionally collect what I tell you to annotate, and I will put a grade in the book based on your ability to approach this standard. First of all, you should be relieved to see that I'm not asking you to write paragraphs and paragraphs on the bottom, top, sides, and margins, because that's not smart. A smart reader does not annotate by putting a million words. A smart reader instead. Paragraph 1, look at the big, there's nature, nurture. Shunzi wrote 250 years before Christ, and he is already talking about what you psychology students know as the nature-nurture controversy, right? Is human evil something that's genetic? Are bad people bad just because of their genes? Are stupid people stupid just because of their genes? On and on, right? Or is there also shaping going on beyond the genetic in the cultural, from the home to the neighborhood to the greater culture of wherever this person was born, the country? Does 7-Eleven, junk food, and MTV also play a role in this person, or is it all just genetic? Nature versus nurture. So I identified this pattern. I identified the pattern, and that's why I wrote it there, because in a seminar, I'm like, that's an interesting pattern, and I'm going to like remind myself of that with those two big things. Pattern stuff going on here. I don't need to write a sentence, because I look at it, I'm like, nature nurture's going on there. It tells me. I'm smart enough to remember why I wrote it. If we look over to the upper right-hand corner, we see a different function of annotation. This says love of profit right there. This says envy, hatred, sensuality. So Shunzi is arguing, why is human nature evil? Because all human natures are greedy. They will screw their grandmother and my grandmother too, and my mom, if they can make an extra buck off of it, right? I'm a banker. I want to increase the ATM fees to $5 every withdrawal, even though that's a lot of money for retirees on a fixed income who make $800 a month with a government check and they're trying to live off that. And I'm a billionaire banker, but by God, I will screw these people because I want to get richer. I'm a cracked cup. I will never be full. That's a Taoist proverb. A cracked cup can never be full. So, yeah, we love profit and we are greedy, right? That's human nature. Other things that are evil. We're envious. Oh, you're better than me. I don't like you, right? We hate. Oh, you're gay. I hate you. We're sex fiends. I'm married or I have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, but wow, I'm so turned on right now, so I will betray them. Or this is my best friend's woman or man, but I will betray him or her because Shunzi's claim, we're sex fiends. So this simply helps me to remember exactly what he says is natural evil in a human. Right, and notice that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words. What goes on in the second paragraph, though, is not simply what's in the text. Because Shunzi, 250 BCE, Qin Dynasty hadn't even unified China yet, Shunzi certainly is not talking about the American and French Revolution. But as I'm reading, that's the thought that comes to me. Now, a poor annotator, A weak-minded student would like write the entire thought, 3, 4, 5 sentences, something like that, wasting all sorts of time, when a smart reader, I shouldn't say student, a smart reader would just trust themselves. If I just put, that's the ideas that came to my mind, all I got to do is just skim that, and it'll come back to me, right? So I'm identifying where that thought happened. And then nurture. What does Shunza say can counteract the evil side, the genetic side of our human nature? Teachers, ritual, form, and reason. So that's his argument in 4 words. In 4 words. How long did it take me to write those 4 words as I read closely? 10 seconds, 5 seconds. There was some idea here at the bottom that I found interesting, just about the idea of nurture or culture, ritual. Confucius keeps saying, nurture here in China, it's not, the most important thing is not the family, it's not the culture, it's not the religion, it's the ritual. It's this culture's ritual. That's the most important thing to keep human nature from being evil, and that's what he's discussing there. The last thing I want to point out to you, and you don't have to do it my way, but you must find a way, because you are going to be, again, going into college, and I care about you, and I don't want you to get a B, C, D, or F when you could get an A if you'll just let me teach you. So I want to invite you to look at the actual paragraph and see what system I have developed that helps me very quickly be able to remember, talk about, and see clearly what's going on in that paragraph. I'm not random. Notice the first thing I'm not doing. Those of you who use a highlighter, I'm just going to yellow highlight 3 lines. That is so, I don't mean to be insulting, but that's so stupid. Because, A, why don't you just draw a line right here, because that's the same effect. You're just saying, oh, these 3 lines. That's worthless. That's just worthless. That's so big. So I don't want to see highlighted lines. If you do that, you have failed the standard, all right? You should have a pen, not a highlighter, because a pen makes you actually write words. A highlighter is a crutch for lazy people who are just like, I don't have the energy mentally to actually come up with the words that are in my mind as I read this, right? A pen forces you to actually communicate to yourself. There are 2. Here's the challenge, and it's not hard. There are 2 things going on in my approach to actually using my pen within the paragraph itself, not to write words, but to mark. What are the 2 things going on there? And what function do they serve? Each serves a different function. Inside the paragraph, the use of ink on the actual text, not in the margins. There are 2 different types of thing going on. There are 2 different types of annotation going on there. It should jump out at you if you're awake, alert, aware, and care. Thank you. I'm bracketing basically the main idea or ideas of that paragraph. That tells me, and it jumps out at me. That's the main idea of this paragraph. When we're talking on the paragraph level, the weakest of you are like going, ugh. But when you think of college where you're asked to read 50 pages by Wednesday of a very complex text, it's much more valuable because you were looking at every page, and how long does it take? It keeps you awake. It keeps you actually conscious of the text because you are having to actively identify, where's the main idea in that one, right? And then you are so thankful you did it because in that seminar on Wednesday with that professor sitting around a desk of 12 people and he's expecting you to talk intelligently, you don't just have a bunch of highlighted crap. You're like, the main idea in this page 273, on that second paragraph, that main idea was really interesting. And you can read it because you got to bracket it. Paragraphs. That's why we teach this thing called a topic sentence, because a topic sentence should communicate the controlling idea of that paragraph. What is a paragraph? A paragraph is a home for a single idea. As soon as your idea changes, you start a new paragraph. So every paragraph should have some sort of, doesn't always have to be the first sentence, but somewhere in there, right? And then keywords. Sometimes 2 underlines instead of 1 is a useful thing because 2 underlines really emphasizes, right? And so I will stop there. Sometimes I circle. Of course, I'll put a circle, and then but in the same sentence 3 lines down. because he's like conceding with that, of course, but then the but shows me where he's actually like overcoming that concession. Ivanhoe does that a lot, right? And so there are a lot of things that you can develop, but I just want to start seeing you show what this shows. That when I read, I'm awake, I'm alert, I'm attentive, I'm conscious, and I'm active. I'm thinking back. In my Bible, which I have read and annotated twice, and it's time to get back to it, except not the King James Version because that's notoriously inaccurate. I'm going to do the New Standard Revised instead, because I've got the Oxford Study Bible over there somewhere. It's the most accurate translation we have. I argue. I ask questions. I gush with love as I read the Bible or Nietzsche or Confucius or whatever, right? And I'm not doing it for school. I'm doing it because if I'm going to read this thing, I'm going to suck the marrow out of it. And I'm going to leave my own thoughts as I do it, so that I can pick up my Bible and see my thoughts on it when I was in my 20s, and I'm in my 50s now. And that's a very cool thing. It's a very interesting thing. You see how you've grown. Some of the ways I reacted in the past, I'm like, oh my God, was I really thinking that 20 years ago? Wow, I'm so different now, right? Or you can not annotate, what's the point of reading if you're not like interested in actually recording your response to it? So I'm done on annotation. Do you have any questions on that? All right.